Hello and very good morning, friends. Yesterday we discussed about various terms such as drugs, crude drugs, herbal medicine, herbs, herbal material, finished herbal products, and mixture finished herbal products. So what was the difference between these terms, and what is the basic difference between a drug and a crude drug? Then after that we discussed about the sources, different sources of crude drugs, in which we discussed the natural and the synthetic sources. And since we are dealing with the plant drugs only, so we were more focused on the natural sources, which included the drugs obtained from plants, animals, minerals, as well as marine sources. After discussing various sources, then we discuss about different classification systems and how these plants are classified, what are the basic characters of an ideal classification system, and why do we perform classification. Amongst different classification systems, we discuss about how the plants are categorized into organized and unorganized drugs. After that, we discuss about the alphabetical, morphological, chemical, and pharmacological classification systems. And then we discuss how what are the bases of these classification systems, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of these classification systems over one another. And as we saw yesterday, that there are 7 classification systems. So we discussed 4 of them yesterday, and we'll start with the next 3 classification systems in the today's lecture. So to start with, the next classification system is the taxonomical classification system, and this system of classification is based on the phylogeny or evolutionary relationship of different plants or animals. Basically, it was observed that during the evolution of the plants, certain plants have similar kind of morphological characters, and when these morphological characters were used to group these plants, they basically form the taxonomical classification system for these plants. The plants and animal sources of the drugs are basically classified into phyla, orders, family, genera, species, and subspecies, and along with their other headings also were incorporated in this classification system. So if we start with the lowest step of the taxonomical classification system, so these are the varieties, and the plant varieties with similar characters are grouped under same species. And if we take an example, there are different varieties of Papaver somniferum plant, and such varieties are Papaver somniferum variety bracteatum, variety nigrum. And since these different varieties had almost similar kind of morphological characters and can be differentiated only on the basis of their flower color or on the basis of the color of their seeds, they were categorized under the same species. And when different species have almost similar kind of characters, they are grouped under one genus. So if we want to consider an example for this, then there are 2 varieties, so 2 species such as Cassia acutifolia and Cassia angustifolia, and we know that these are the 2 species for a senna drug, and since they have almost similar kind of morphological characters, they are grouped under one genus, that is Cassia. And different genera which are having similar characters are then placed under one family, and the different families having similar kind of characters, they are placed under same order. And the same orders are grouped under subclasses such as dicots and monocots, and then similar subclasses are placed under same kind of class, that is angiosperms and gymnosperms, and similar kind of classes are put under division, then divisions are put under subkingdom, and finally the kingdom. So this is the basic hierarchy of taxonomic classification. So if we start from the top, that is the plant kingdom, it is further divided into subkingdoms, and subkingdoms have certain divisions, and divisions have different classes, and classes like angiosperms and gymnosperms, and these classes have subclasses like angiosperms have monocots and dicots. We all know that angiosperms are the flower bearing plants and gymnosperms are the non-flower bearing plants. So the plants which are bearing flowers, they are categorized under angiosperms, and those who do not bear flowers, they are categorized under gymnosperms. So under angiosperms, there are two different subclasses, that is dicots and monocots. So one having two dicotyledons, they are considered as dicot, and the seeds having one cotyledon, they are considered as monocots. And the same dicots and these dicots or monocots have different families under their heading, and these each family has different genera. Different genera have different species, and each species may have different varieties. So this is how the plants are basically categorized under taxonomic classification using the botanical characters of the plant. Now here's another example. We can see the the bottom one, that is the species Balsamum and Glabra. Balsamum basically belongs to genus Myroxylon, and Glabra belongs to species genus, that is Glycyrrhiza. Now there is another species Urelensis, which also belongs to the genus Glycyrrhiza. So these two genera belong to a subfamily Papilionaceae, and this subfamily comes under the major family, that is Fabaceae, which was earlier known as Leguminosae, and the family comes under the order Rosales. Rosales come under the class Dicots, and Dicots come under the division Angiosperms, and Angiosperms come under the phylum, that is Spermatophyta. So this is how the plants using the taxonomic classification are categorized. And there are like other classification systems, there are advantages and disadvantages of this system as well. Under advantages, repetitions rarely occur in this type of classifications. Now since plants are categorized on the basis of the correlation between the botanical characters as well as the evolution of those plants, so the repetition rarely occur in this type of classification system, and repetitions were commonly seen in chemical classification system as well as the pharmacological classification system, but such kind of even in the morphological system also, but such repetitions are rarely seen in the taxonomical classification. Now by studying the taxonomical classification system, one get to know the basic morphological character of a number of drugs belonging to same family or a genus. Now when a person is studying the taxonomical classification, and he will find different genera under one family and different species under one genus, so he can easily correlate the type of botanical characters one genus is having, or different genera having which fall under same family, and he can easily correlate the differentiating characters of those genera or those species or different families as well. Now coming on to the disadvantages of this classification system, as we saw in the previous classification system, such as alphabetical and morphological, which were quite simple to use, this classification system is quite complex, and since most of the drugs used are a particular part of a plant, say for example we either use a bark or a leaf of a particular plant, so to study the taxonomic characters of a particular part becomes very difficult. Then this type of classification system do not give any information on the chemical constituent and pharmacological activity of the plant, since this system is largely based on the botanical characters and its correlation with the evolution of that particular plant. So it does not give you any information on the chemical constituent and pharmacological activity, though later on it was stressed upon that certain chemical characters should also be correlated with the taxonomic or the botanical characters of the plant, and they led to the genesis of another classification system, which we will discuss in the subsequent slides. So they do not give basically any information about the chemical constituent or the pharmacological activity of a particular plant. So to study or to perform or to group various plants under this classification system, one should have a good knowledge of taxonomy. And this is another disadvantage of this classification system, because if somebody wants to classify drugs on the basis of the morphological parts or on the basis of their common name, which we saw in the alphabetical classification system, one does not require any specific or the technical knowledge or the scientific knowledge about the plants. A layman can also categorize the plants on the basis of the name or on the basis of the parts of that particular plant use. But if you want to classify or group the plants on the basis of taxonomy, one has to have good knowledge of taxonomy as well as the evolutionary aspects of the plant to categorize different plants under different groups. So next is the chemotaxonomic classification. Now we discussed about the taxonomic classification, in which the plants were categorized on the basis of botanical characters along with the phylogeny, that is evolutionary data of the plants, or the correlation between the two. Now chemotaxonomy is dealing with the merging of chemical characters with the taxonomic characters. Now when the plants were grouped on the basis of taxonomy, and since they follow a same line of evolution, it was thought that they might have certain chemical characters which could be similar among them. So that forms the foundation of this type of classification system, and that lead to the development of this system. The chemical variation has essentially been used for the classification purpose ever since folk taxonomies. Now folk taxonomies are the taxonomical classification systems that were used in yesteryears, and these folk taxonomies were based largely on the cultural or societal characters of a plant. That means that a particular culture has given a specific defined specific properties of a plant, and using those properties, those different plants were grouped having a similar kind of those properties. So folk taxonomies do not have any scientific basis for classification. Earlier plants were just grouped on the basis of the properties that was described by a particular group of people, and the best example was is aromatic mints, that was grouped together by Dioscorides, since Dioscoride was known for its contribution to the medicinal field, and he categorized different mints on the basis of their morphological characters as well as their property of aromaticity. Since he found that all the mints have aromatic characters and they look quite similar morphologically, he basically grouped all those mints into aromatic mint group. So this was the first initiative that was that took place in yesteryears for the chemotaxonomic classification. Now during 18th and 19th century, knowledge in the field increased, and some taxonomists made use of several chemical characters in attempt to classify plants and to demonstrate their phylogeny. As we already discussed that during taxonomic system, we basically correlate the morphological or botanical characters of a plant along with its evolutionary line. And group of people also believe that since they follow a similar kind of evolutionary line, they might have certain similar kind of chemical characters. So a lot of work was done in 18th and 19th centuries on this particular line, which later on lead to the development of chemotaxonomic classification. And but major work was done in the 20th century. Grishoff in 1909 gave stress on the inclusion of chemical characters in the natural classification of drugs, and proposed that a short chemical description should be included with the characters of genus or species. So Grishoff was the first person who put a lot of stress on inclusion of chemical characters in the classification of the drugs or the group of the drugs that have been categorized under a genus or under a particular family. So he basically was a person who was more interested in finding the correlation between the chemical constituents or the type of constituents in a particular group of plants that belong to a particular family. Later, Baker and Smith in 1920 tried to study the chemical behavior of volatile oil of 176 eucalyptus species, and after studying their chemical behavior or the chemical nature of the volatile oils, they divided those species into 3 groups and the genus Eucalyptus in 3 groups, and these groups were also formed on the basis of the morphological similarities of those plants. So Baker and Smith basically considered the chemical nature of volatile oils, and along with the chemical nature of volatile oils, they also consider the similarity in the morphological characters. So depending upon the similarity in the morphological characters as well as the chemical nature of volatile oils, they divided the Eucalyptus genus into 3 different groups. And later on detailed studied, basically they found that almost all this 176 species of eucalyptus, they contain pinene and cineol, and these two constituents were found in the volatile oils of almost all the eucalyptus species, and thus they consider pinene and cineol as the marker compounds, or more appropriately chemotaxonomic marker for the genus Eucalyptus. Now, their work basically gave birth to the modern concept of chemotaxonomy that utilizes the chemical facts, characters for understanding the taxonomical status and their relationship and the evolution of the plants. Now, chemotaxonomy involves the study of chemical variation in different plants, and this information can also be used in their classification. So, as we have discussed that taxonomy deals with the botanical characters, and chemotaxonomy, along with the botanical characters, it deals with also the chemical variations in the plants. And since in taxonomy we also study about their phylogeny, so there are certain chemicals which might be common during that phylogenetic line, and hence chemotaxonomy becomes an important classification system. So now it is very well accepted that certain compounds and related substance may be characteristic of certain taxonomic groups. So as we have seen that pinene and cineol basically are found in almost all species, 176 species of eucalyptus, and these compounds become characteristic of eucalyptus genus, that is a taxonomic group. Thus, chemotaxonomical system of classification is based on the existence of relationship between the constituent of various plants and their phylogeny. Now, phylogeny is again their evolutionary line, and since they some genuses, some genera or species, they might have similar kind of evolutionary line, they may also have similar kind of chemical characters, and hence chemotaxonomically they can be classified. If we take other examples, and in this tropane alkaloids is a very common example, and tropane alkaloids we know they are found in almost all the members of Solanaceae family, and thus they become a chemotaxonomic marker of Solanaceae family. Similarly, meconic acid is considered as chemotaxonomic marker for the members of Papaver family, and when the various members, approximately 48 species of Papaver family, those belonging to 12 different genera under this family were studied, and it was found that almost all the members of this family, they contained meconic acid or its derivatives, and hence meconic acid became an important chemotaxonomic marker for Papaver family. Similarly, other examples are berberin alkaloid is a marker for Berberis genus and Argemone genus, and rutin was found common in almost all the members belonging to Rutaceae family, therefore it becomes a chemotaxonomic marker of Rutaceae, and same is the case with Ranunculales alkaloids, which were common among the member of Ranunculales family, and hence they are considered as chemotaxonomic markers for Ranunculales family as well. Now, the advantages and disadvantages of this classification system. Now, under advantages, this system helps in understanding the relationship between biosynthesis of chemical constituent and their possible action. So once we correlate between the botanical characters along with the phylogeny with the chemical variations in the plants, one can easily also correlate their biological action. What type of chemical constituent a particular genus is having, that can lead to the possibility of elucidating what kind of pharmacological or biological action it may have. Say for example, if we consider tropane alkaloids were that chemotaxonomic marker of Solanaceae family, and we know that most of the tropane alkaloids have action on our central nervous system, one can easily correlate that most of the members of Solanaceae family will also have effect on our central nervous system. So this is the basic advantage of chemotaxonomic system, that one can easily correlate along with the chemical variation with the pharmacological action of that particular plant. Now coming on to the disadvantages, there are many chemical substances such as proteins, carbohydrates, fatty acids, amino acids, sugars and so on, which are common in almost each and every plant. and hence cannot be used for chemotaxonomic classification. Thus we can say that we have very limited number of chemical compounds that can be used as chemotaxonomic markers, and that can be used for grouping different plants or species under a particular category. Now sometimes different plants belonging to different classes produce similar type of chemical constituent, while some plants belonging to similar or closely related groups produce different types of chemical compounds, and hence there is a difficulty in classification of those plants. So this is quite obvious. There are almost similar kind of plants and they produce different chemical constituents. So one cannot basically easily correlate the botanical similarity with the chemical constituent of those plants, and hence it becomes quite difficult to classify such plants under this chemotaxonomic system. Then a particular type of compound may occur due to synthesis in one plant, and the same kind of chemical compound may occur as a degradation product in other plant. So also this then also it becomes difficult to classify such plants where similar kind of chemical compounds are occurring in them, though such plants belong to different groups, altogether different groups or families. Furthermore, the chemistry of a plant changes when grown under different conditions and geographical locations, and in such cases it's difficult to classify a plant on the basis of chemotaxonomy, because with the change in the geographical location or climatic condition, the biosynthetic pathways in the plant changes, and they may lead to the production of certain different chemical constituents, and these different chemical constituents are produced in the same plant growing in different geographical locations. So under such conditions also sometimes it become difficult to classify such plants under chemotaxonomy. Next is the serotaxonomical classification. So first was taxonomical, then using the botanical characters along with chemical variation in chemotaxonomy. Now serotaxonomy, that is correlating the botanical characters with the sero characters. Sero characters, basically sero has been derived from word serology, in which we basically study the interactions of antigen and antibodies, and we all know that antigens are nothing but different types of proteins. So one can easily say that every plant or plant in a particular group that are categorized under a particular group may or may not have same or different kind of proteins in them, which basically are responsible for the differentiating character between those plants. So serology is a branch of science that deals with the nature and interaction of proteins or antigens and antibodies. The substances that stimulate the formation of antibodies is called an antigen, and in response to antigen, various highly specific protein molecules are produced, which are known as antibodies, and these are produced by plasma cells in the immune system. Thus we can say that proteins are the carriers of information which can be correlated to the botanical characters, that is taxonomy, and which can be used for the classification of plants and animals. So therefore we can say that serotaxonomical classification is a system of classification of a plant or an animal on the basis of similarities and or dissimilarities of their proteins. Nuttall in 1902 was the first to identify the importance of serology in plant studies, and he was the person who find that there is a variation in the protein content in the type of proteins that are present in different plants, and then he suggested that these differences in the proteins can also be utilized for the classification of plants. Later Kowarski, Bartali and Magnus compared proteins from various grass and legume species, and their study basically highlighted the similarities and difference between the grasses and legume species, and they further corroborated the findings of Nuttall that different proteins can be utilized to classify the different plants under different groups. So in serotaxonomical classification, a crude protein extract of a particular plant belonging to a particular taxa is extracted, is injected into the blood of an experimental animal, and a specific antibody is produced in the blood of that particular animal. The serum containing the antibody is then collected and made to react with antigenic proteins as well as the proteins from the other related taxa. The serological interactions between antibody and antigenic material results in the formation of precipitates that help in determining the protein homology, and hence we can take as a phylogenetic or taxonomic character. So once the protein or the antigen extracted from the plants are injected, since those antigen have proteins only, so when they are injected in animals, they produce antibodies, and when those antibodies are reacted with antigen, they form precipitates. So thus depending upon the antigens of plant that form precipitates along with those antigens, since if they form precipitates, they show that they have similar kind of protein, and if they do not form precipitates, it means their proteins are different, and thus we can classify those plants under similar kind of group depending upon the type of proteins they are having. So friends, this was all about the different classification systems, and in different classification systems we found that alphabetical morphological classification systems were the simplest classification system, but followed by chemical and pharmacological classification systems. But the major disadvantages with chemical and pharmacological systems were that repetitions of drug may occur, which was not found in case of alphabetical system, though some repetitions may occur in morphological systems, but in alphabetical there no repetition can occur. Then we move on to the taxonomical based classification systems such as taxonomy, chemotaxonomical and serotaxonomical classification system. Though all the three classification systems were pretty complex as compared to the first four classification systems, and specific or I will say technical or scientific knowledge is required by a person if somebody wants to use this taxonomical system or wants to classify the plants under this system, whereas no such knowledge was required in the previous four classification systems. So friends, in the next lecture we will discuss about the major hurdle in the promotion of herbal drugs, that is adulteration of the crude drugs. Thank you.